Welcome to Retire Hour, the weekly show discussing income planning, investing, tax planning, estate planning, and Medicare. Complete retirement education. Hear from our financial advisors, CPA, estate planning attorney, and Medicare advisor every week. This is Retire Hour.
Welcome into Retire Hour, the weekly show that keeps you up to date on the ever-changing landscape that is retirement. I'm Joshua Cicora, your host for this week. We've got a full show for you. Stay tuned for the back half of the episode where we talk to healthcare advisors about changing Medicare plans. Then we'll turn to Alex Robinson to discuss the keys to estate planning. And finally, we'll finish the show with Lauren Dietz and taxes. You won't want to miss that. But in studio with me now, we've got Danny Goolsby, financial advisor with Market Advisory Group. Danny, welcome in. And we were just talking a little bit about the show, about how the financial advisors create plans for clients, but they're not just write it down once and away you go. You were telling me.
Yeah, it's not a plan and set it and forget it, as they say. So normally our format is when someone will come to us as a prospective client, they come to us and they're interested in developing an income and retirement plan for the rest of their lives, and they may have subtle nuances to those plans, whether based on what's going on in their life at that point, whether they may be really super growth-oriented people, they may be legacy inclined. There's offshoots of the planning that can go into it. But by and large, usually what we talk about with people on a macro general level, we'll sit down, we'll start talking with them. What are their goals? In other words, what are you wanting to accomplish as you step into the next phase of your life? What are you currently doing? Are you still working and you think you're going to work, or is one spouse in the household still working? Maybe both spouses are still working, or are you already retired? So because some of these things will go into the plan that we're going to create for them. And then are there material changes coming at you in the future? So, for example, do you expect to get an inheritance? Do you expect to have debt that's been paid down and no longer have that debt? Another thing that we'll talk with people about is how do they feel about risk, and how do we find appropriate ways for their risk tolerances to be able to capture or attempt to capture opportunity from the stock market or other places that can perpetuate their retirement and income plan going forward. Another thing we'll talk about is, okay, how long do they expect themselves to live? So I can give you stats all day long about what the life expectancy are for people when they're retired at age 65, a husband and wife couple. But, the people we're sitting across the table from, a lot of times, they know their health better than anybody. Mm-hmm. And so if there's something going on in their health or genetics or what have you, they may not live as long as other people, or they may live quite a long time. So all those things go into the recipe on how to try to build something for somebody. And then, again, there's other things, but those are the main ones.
And so we sit down with these people, and I mean, Larry talks about this all the time, right? We create a custom-made plan because everybody's as different as their thumbprint. Right. But then, okay, so you meet with them, you say, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. See you in 5 years, right?
Well, no. I mean, that's again, it's not a set it and forget it. We try to see people 3 or 4 times a year, or more often if necessary. Some people, it was a big bubble bursting moment to me when they don't want to see us. They definitely want to say, hey, I know how to get a hold of you, and if I don't need to talk to you, then I don't need to talk to you. Well, no, we need to talk at least once a year just to keep things compliant, if you will. But so we put all this stuff in the chute, and we create several models or scenarios for people. So here's this couple now. They've got their plan in place. They've mapped out the next 5 years, the next 10 years of retirement life, and what they expect to happen in that retirement phase of their life. But life has a way of throwing curveballs at you. In other words, here it comes, and there's a reason why in baseball the metaphor is that a curveball can make your knees buckle, because it looks like it's coming for your chin, and it turns out and the pitch itself breaks hard over the plate, and it's nowhere what you were expecting when you first saw the ball leave the pitcher's hand. Well, a curveball in life, that could be 100 different things. That could be, for example, it could be something that we've done tax planning, or you've done tax planning. I've sat in on those sessions with you, and all of a sudden they get an inheritance that changes what we've already done the planning for. That could be a life-changing event for them tax-wise.
Sure.
I have a client I was just talking to yesterday that they don't have many means, so they don't have a large estate, if you will. He's living on his Social Security. She's living on her Social Security, and she has a part-time job. But and then he has had stroke now, so he's now had a stroke. He's in the hospital, and essentially he's going to be going on Medicaid because they don't have many means. But the means that they have, they were using his Social Security check to pay for the house payment and some of the incidentals, and she was using her Social Security check to pay like maybe light bills or car insurance, stuff like that. And now she's faced with, okay, the assets that we do have now have to be spent down. What are we going to do? I can't afford to live in my house that I'm in now. And so that's that curveball that she's forced to change with. So whether it's a tax law that has changed, or whether it's a life event, whether they've received an inheritance, or whether they've received, as they say in Monopoly, your stock and bond favor in your favor. When you go to community chest, something big has happened out of the ordinary that sets the plan completely on its head. Either they have more money, or they'll have to pay more taxes, or they have a long-term care event, or there's just a number of things. And so if we as advisors, if we don't have the ability to sit down with our clients and make adjustments in real time, then our clients are the ones who lose on that. So we try to build things where they're flexible.
Yeah, like the old saying, right? Man plans and God laughs, right? And so that's where we come alongside with our clients, and we are there for when these changes do happen to talk about, okay, well, this has happened. What do we need to do tax-wise? That's happened. How does that affect the income we're drawing out? And so then you do something with your clients, right? Tell me a little about that.
No, that's exactly right. Again, it depends on what's happening. We as professionals, and I'm talking about us as a group of professionals, whether it's the attorneys, whether it's the CPAs, whether it's the advisors, whether it's the Medicare folks, we as a group of professionals probably have been down roads with other clients that we're now talking with have never been down before. So they're scared to death. They don't know which way to go. How am I going to stretch my dollars even further? And so I take it as a sincere pleasure, a sincere honor to be able to help them in those kinds of moments.
Yeah. So sometimes when you're faced with a decision or a problem that just seems too big, we get paralyzed and end up doing nothing for weeks or months on end while we try to figure out what to do about that. It can really help to have someone to talk to about these decisions. And when it comes to retirement, all it takes is a 15-minute phone call to find the right path to go down. If you'd like to set up that 15-minute introductory phone call, reach out to us now at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAG-REPORT. Or go over to our website, retirehour.com. There you can watch past episodes, submit a question, or schedule that 15-minute phone call with the Market Advisor Group team. Now stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be talking with financial advisor Julie Newton in our Kansas City office about something called the Windfall Elimination Provision. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Retire Hour. This segment, we've got Julie Newton, financial advisor from Market Advisor Group, Kansas City. So Julie, dug out of the snow, back in action it looks like. So you were telling me something about this windfall elimination provision stuff going on. I don't know. Tell me a little about that.
Okay, so first of all, it's two things. So back in 1983, the federal government passed a law called Windfall Elimination Provision, as well as the government pension offset. Basically, it was designed to prevent double dipping. So if you were a public employee, and it affects a lot of teachers, you didn't start out paying into Social Security. You paid into just your pension. You were eligible for Social Security, but because you hadn't paid into it, the government decided we're not going to let you double dip. So they eliminated that opportunity. So a lot of public employees and government employees only get the pension. They don't get Social Security at all, or they get a very reduced amount of Social Security. So I talk with teachers specifically all the time who are affected by this. Now, here's the thing. as of the 5th of January, 2025, the president signed the elimination of the windfall elimination, as well as the government pension offset. So they've got rid of that, which means that teachers and other public employees affected by it are now going to be able to collect a Social Security benefit. So in some cases, this is a really, really great thing, but there are some really important things that people are going to have to think about, because it isn't just going to automatically start January 1 or February 1 or whatever that looks like. They're going to do a back pay, or at least that was part of the bill as it was written. They're going to back pay to December 23rd of December of 2023. So what that means is they're planning to pay a lump sum plus that ongoing monthly benefit. And you, Josh, as a tax professional, you know what kind of havoc that's going to wreak on people's taxes.
Yeah, actually, I kind of zoned out there for a minute because I just started thinking about, oh my gosh, this is going to dump a year's worth of Social Security benefit into all these people's laps. Now, that's fantastic, right? Who doesn't want, a big bag of money with, big bag with that dollar sign on it, right? Just falling in their lap. But then that's going to cause some headaches about a year from now when people are going to start dealing with their taxes and they're going to see a 1 year spike. And so then I'm just even thinking about, those folks will definitely need to talk to somebody about tax planning, right? But
exactly
when they go and see their tax person next, here in a few weeks, they're gonna, bring it up, and I'm sure the tax person's gonna say, "Well, I don't know, didn't happen in 24, so I'm not worried about it." They really need to talk to somebody, probably 8 or 9 months from now, right?
Definitely need to get in and talk to somebody. And here's the thing: it's not just that big dump of cash. Okay, so your income is already going to increase. So forgetting about the big dump of cash right now. So let's say your monthly benefit Social Security benefit is now going to be $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 in 2025. So your income just increased by $24,000. Now, if taking that same $2,000 a month and that big dump of cash, that's another $24,000. You just increased your income by $48,000 for 2025. Now, highly likely $24,000, just the regular new monthly benefit, could potentially move you into a new tax bracket. But that $48,000, highly likely people are going to see a big jump in their taxes, not to mention the tax they or their spouse pay on their Social Security benefit. So that's probably going to increase. You've got required minimum distributions, or even if you aren't old enough for required minimum distributions yet, and you're taking withdrawals to make ends meet out of your IRA, there is just an entire tax bomb sitting here waiting to happen. Yeah, it seems like a great idea at the outset, but if you are not talking to your financial advisor and your tax professional, there are all kinds of unintended consequences that can come with this thing.
You're absolutely right. So not only do you have a new stream of income coming in, so you need to refigure your income plan. You need to talk about tax withholdings. If you need to make estimated payments because you didn't have withholding set up before that money came to you. And then I just heard our healthcare advisors screaming out in terror because this will kick people out into some of those monthly adjustments on the Medicare premiums that people probably aren't anticipating either. Wow, that's a lot to handle all at once. When people come into this, they don't have to go at it alone. Some people will try. I know you know this, Julie, but every week we see people with situations like this or similar situations that are just as complicated. Someone who thought that the damage was already done and there was nothing they could do to fix it. And then they come and they meet with us, and then they're just delighted to find out that it can be fixed. And we can help them with that because we've walked through it with other people. We like to say that everyone is unique, But there are these common pitfalls that people just fall into. And at Market Advisor Group, we can help you out. If you'd like to set up one of these 15-minute introductory phone calls to see what you might be missing in your retirement plan, reach out to us right now at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAG-REPORT. Or go on over to our website, retirehour.com. There, you can watch past episodes. You can submit your own question about something going on, or schedule that 15-minute phone call with the Market Advisor Group team. Well, stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be talking with Larry Clefcorn to answer a listener question from someone probably just like you, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Retire Hour. We've got a listener question for this segment. And if you ever have questions you'd like for us to talk about on air, just go over to retirehour.com. Click on that button that says Submit Question. If we feature your question on air, we'll send you a cool piece of swag for your efforts. A tumbler, a hat, a little tape measure. We have a lot of things you can choose from when you submit that question over at retirehour.com. And right now, we've got Larry Clefcorn in studio with us to answer one of these questions. Larry, the question this week comes from Aaron. Aaron asks us, I can retire with full benefits from my job at 55. What are the requirements to fulfill Social Security since I'm retiring so early? Larry, this is a great question because I have no idea.
Yeah, well, when I think of this question, I'm trying to put myself in their place and trying to think of some of the questions that may be in their mind. One of the things that comes up to my attention in that is that perhaps they're wondering if I'm not going to have income, I'm not going to be making contributions any longer to Social Security out of my salary because I won't have a salary. And as you talk about, oftentimes you pay payroll tax, right? That's the payroll tax is what goes into to Social Security and Medicare.
Right,
okay?
right.
And so sometimes people worry about the last few years. What if their income drops? And so if that's the concern, you don't have to fear that, because the way your Social Security income is going to be calculated is over the highest 35 years, adjusted for inflation.
Okay.
So for that reason, you don't have to worry about the lack of income or the lack of work being reported to Social Security. It shouldn't really have an effect on that. Something else that they're going to need to know is, if they don't already, and most people know, but you can start applying and drawing at 62.
Right.
There are some restrictions about doing that, though, and between age 62 and your full retirement age. And that would be in terms of how much you can earn if you pick up a part-time job or you do some contract labor or that sort of thing. So you do have to be mindful of that. One of the best ways of helping you in this scenario is to set up an appointment with us. We can bring the people that are involved. I notice, as you said, you get to full benefits at 55, so it sounds like your insurance is going to be buttoned up, no problem.
Maybe there's a pension in play.
Yeah, could be a pension that you're going to receive as income. There's oftentimes teachers who came right out of college, started working. They hit their retirement age around that age. They have all their points. It doesn't pay them to keep working, and that's that sort of thing. So this is not a real uncommon scenario that oftentimes people encounter. Now, I don't believe that there are any provisions made for those early retirees. in terms of distributions that they can take. Would you say that's true?
There are some complicated rules that can come into play that only fit in certain circumstances to be able to take money out of their accounts. Because at 55, you can't pull money out of your retirement accounts without penalties.
It's called an early withdrawal
That's right.
penalty.
That's right. But there are some provisions where you can set up a series of distributions, but you have to be really careful because once you turn those on, you can't turn them off without incurring a lot of penalties.
Might be stuck.
You might be stuck, and it could seriously harm your nest egg if you trigger that when it's not necessarily appropriate, or if you make some kind of mistake as you go through that process and take those distributions. It's probably something that you should talk to somebody about before you just get into
Absolutely.
it kind of willy-nilly.
Yeah. And this is something that is kind of gives us a segue into a client that I have. And this client had been with us for many years. Mm-hmm. He passed away. So now his son is trying to piece things together for him and take care of his, the monies that were left for him. Unfortunately, he didn't take advantage of of our approach in the final years of using us. He stuck with his friend's recommendation as an accountant, and his another friend's acquaintance as an attorney. Mm-hmm. And so right now he's trying to take care of these accounts and get them moved over. Oh, by the way, there's a trust involved. That's the attorney part. Mm-hmm. And he's having to do all the legwork. And it is moving so slow. I mean, he's been grappling with this for 3 months, trying to get the attorney to do something for him and trying to get his accountant over here to do something for him. And he said a couple of times, he goes, I still wish Dad would have just used everything here that you guys have,
Yeah, so Dad passed away, left a benefit for son, but it also sounds like he left a part-time job for the son too, and into making all these pieces work.
Yeah. He's just very frustrated, and I'm telling you, listeners, we can help with that. We can help. That's one of the reasons we have put together this system.
Yeah. So if you find yourself at a loss what to do with your retirement, or maybe you've been putting it off because all this stuff is just so complicated, don't put it off any longer. Sometimes all it takes is a 15-minute call to see what you might be missing in your retirement plans. And if you'd like to set up that 15-minute introductory phone call, reach out to us right now at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAG-REPORT. Or go over to our website, retirehour.com. There you can watch past episodes, submit a question, or schedule that 15-minute phone call with the Market Advisory Group team. Now, stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be talking to Trey Bassa about changing plans now that open enrollment's over. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Retire Hour. We just spent the last half hour talking with several of the financial advisors with Market Advisory Group, and at most investment firms, that'd be the end of it. But, here we do things a little bit differently. We know that retirement isn't just about investments. We know that taxes play a big role in how long your money lasts, and estate planning can impact how much of your legacy gets passed to that next generation. And that's why we take the back half of our show to discover some of the other aspects of retirement. With me in studio now, I've got Trey Bassa, health insurance agent with Market Medicare Advisors. Now, open enrollment is over, just ended last month. What if somebody made a mistake? Can they change plans now? And before you get started, just to steal the answer that all of us tax folks say, I know it's sometimes, and it depends. But can you tell us a little more about it?
So there's a lot that goes into somebody wanting to make the switch. It's our responsibility to work with our clients during the open enrollment period, October 15th through December 7th, to make sure that we're setting them up for the next calendar year. But there's always those what ifs, the ifs, ands, or buts in the middle of the year. One of the big special enrollment codes that we use to help people move from one insurance plan to another would be simply a move, like prescription drug plans or Medicare Advantage plans. They're only available in very particular zip codes. But what if you move across the country? That plan isn't going to be viable in that new zip code. So we can help people enroll into new plans at their new home. But there's also instances like it used to be called the general enrollment period, January 1st through the end of March, where you can switch from one Medicare Advantage plan to another. But that's really only available if your Advantage plan is no longer available on the market. That happened with a big insurance company this year in our area. They had a plan that a lot of people were on in 2024, but as soon as the calendar year ended, their plan doesn't exist anymore.
Uh-oh.
But they didn't automatically move them to another plan. So now they have, I know.
Why would they?
That'd be too easy.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we have to use a special enrollment code to get our clients into a new Medicare Advantage plan. And we have this time period to make that move freely.
So to take this off the rails a little bit, so when that happened, when that Advantage plan went away, could they switch back to traditional Medicare, or does it have to still be in that Advantage lane?
Still has to be the Advantage lane. They have the opportunity to switch to a Medicare supplement plan any time of the year. The big catch is that you have to go through underwriting. You have to medically qualify, and then it's up to the private insurance company whether or not they're going to give you a Medicare supplement plan. But this time period, the special enrollment code that we're talking about is just from one Advantage plan to another.
Gotcha. So there's that special Advantage situation moving. Is there other situations where they can move after this open enrollment period?
A lot of theoretical here going into this answer. And what clients like to bring up all the time is, what if my private insurance company goes out of business? What if
geez.
We go from like moving to, the plan's just off the market to they're bankrupt. I got to move. It's very theoretical, but there are a lot of special enrollment codes out there for folks to use just to have that safety net to switch from one plan to another if anything were to happen.
So by and large is what you're saying is that once the open enrollment period closes out, only in a very special set of circumstances can people change.
Very
plans.
special.
Okay.
Yes.
So what should somebody do during that open enrollment period to make sure that they don't need to try to figure out one of these special situations?
I always encourage all of our listeners, viewers, to just meet with somebody. I would love to meet with them, but I know that we have an audience far and wide. They can't physically come in. They have other people that they work with. You just need to meet with somebody. Go through a review process to make sure that your plans are good for you the next calendar year. Otherwise, you could be stuck with something that is ill-fitting and is going to cost you much more the coming calendar year.
So what I'm hearing you say is that healthcare is complicated and it's important to have conversations with a professional, someone who is in this field talking about these things every year.
Every year. It's going to be changing up a little, different coverages or co-payments, this, that, and the other. It changes up little by little every year. And it's important to stay on top of those changes.
Now, let me ask you something. Something I hear regularly from people is that, it's all same as last year. Same as last year. Everything's the same. What do you tell folks?
I say not exactly. These plans, they may look the same, but when you impact out the whole year, say just an increase in premium changes, when you impact out the whole year, that can cost couple $100 more if you're not on the right plan, because these insurance companies, they change up their coverages, they change up their premiums, and sometimes they change up their network. So if you go in or out of network, that can cost you hundreds of dollars more than in network versus, say, prescription drugs. They're not all covered the same from one year to the other, and that can cost you.
Trey, this sounds like a mess, a potential mess, but you're here to help folks avoid that. Things get complicated in retirement. I don't know how anyone can deal with healthcare or Medicare issues like this all on their own. But the great news is for people who are listening in on this, they don't have to. Sometimes all it takes to get started down the path of getting this all figured out and getting you where you need to go is a 15-minute phone call to see what you might be missing in your retirement plan. And if you'd like to set up that 15-minute introductory phone call right now, reach out to us at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAG-REPORT. Or go on over to our website, retirehour.com. There you can watch past episodes, submit your own question like we heard in the last segment, or schedule that 15-minute call with the Market Advisor Group team. Well, stay tuned. When we come back, we'll talk to Alex Robinson from Edelman Law Firm about the key to good estate planning. And we'll be right back. Welcome back into Retire Hour. In this segment, every week we focus on estate planning. It's a part of life that most people ignore for far too long because it requires you to think about your own end. And let's be honest, that's just no fun, right? But it's important to get that estate plan in place sooner rather than later because you never know really when your last day is going to be. And so to talk about that with me right now, I've got Alex Robinson from the Edelman Law Firm. Alex, tell me, at the end of the day, what is the key that makes for a good estate plan?
You know how in real estate they say location, location, location?
Uh-huh.
It's communication, communication, communication.
It's catchy.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. I just trademarked it. I think you can just yell that and then it works, right?
All right, that's right.
No, I can draft the best estate plan ever. It can be exactly what someone wants. It can do everything that it's meant to do and nothing that it's not meant to do. And if they don't tell anyone about it, it basically doesn't exist. So, your will is not filed with the state. Your trust is not filed with the state. And so if no one knows that it exists and no one knows where to find those documents, we don't get automatically notified if someone dies. And so there can be times, and I've dealt with times where someone has no clue that their family member has a plan in place and they start going down a different road, and it leads to all types of what I call logistical nightmares, which you don't want to have.
Yeah, that sure sounds like a potential mess. There's the old joke or whatever, if a tree falls in the forest but nobody hears it, doesn't make a sound. If you put a dynamite estate plan together but nobody knows about it, can it have any impact?
I mean, potentially down the road when someone finds the documents, 3 years later, but at that point it may or may not matter. The will is only good for 6 months after death. And so if you've got a will-based estate plan, then that all goes away. And if you've got a trust, maybe all those assets have already been distributed and it's going to be very hard to walk those back. And it may or may not happen the way that the person wants it to. So, I see a lot of clients, and it's their choice, right? I'm not telling anyone they need to do one thing or the other. They can, this is a judgment call for them. But I see a lot of clients who say oh, I don't want to tell my kids about what's going on, either because it's not equal distributions or they're worried, hey, they're going to be wanting this much money or whatever it is. But if you don't tell them when their parent or their spouse dies, it can be a real challenge for them because they're already having to deal with the loss of a loved one. And now they don't know what the plan is. They don't know what the documents are. They need someone to explain all of those things to them, which we're glad to do. But if they'd already had that conversation, it leads to a lot less frustration. It leads to a lot less fear. And it kind of acts as if what we really want in estate planning is, from a logistical side, everything to be taken care of almost automatically, so that when someone dies, you can focus on that and rallying to the family and helping each other out, as opposed to jumping through hoops and trying to figure out what's going on.
So earlier in the show, we talked about how people have unique situations, but there's common pitfalls, and that's why people come and talk to us, because we see people dealing with these common pitfalls. What do you tell people when they say, well, I don't want the kids to know that we've got this much money, or that they're going to get this, that, or the other thing? How do you tell them to handle that communication?
Well, I'm always of the opinion that being open about it with your family is the best policy. Again, you can certainly not if that's what you want to do, but even if you tell them and they get upset about it, that at least lets you know where the friction points are, so that maybe you think everyone's going to be on board with the plan and is going to be happy, and then it blows up Christmas dinner, and that's probably not the best time to do it, but that's what happens. That's great. That's more information for you. And then you can come back and redo some of the plan and be like, okay, well, they were upset about this. They didn't want the money spread out over years, whatever it is. I've done lots of advising before for plans that are now in administration. And if their parents don't tell them, hey, we're setting it up so you get a little bit of money at a time to help protect you from blowing it all, because that's what happens. And it's not a character thing. It's just what happens. If their parents let them know ahead of time, they're always on board. If their parents don't, they come to me and they say, well, I guess mom and dad didn't trust me. I've been a good kid my whole life, but my parents didn't trust me, and that's not fun to hear. But that's not what the truth is. The truth is either they were advised to do that, or they decided it on their own because they're like, hey, my kids are going to get $1 million. You can blow that really easily, which might sound crazy, but it's very easy to blow through $1 million. And so just communication with their kids about what's going to happen makes all the difference.
That actually makes a lot of sense. If you don't know what your kids think about this, maybe that would change your decisions, but you don't know if you don't talk about it. And, like I said earlier, estate planning isn't fun. It's not great to think about, hey, one day I'm not going to be here anymore.
Hey, it's super fun.
About as fun as taxes, right? But it's not something you want to put off to the last minute. It's better to have these powers of attorney, account beneficiaries, Medicaid plans, wills, trusts, et cetera, all in place before something awful happens, something unthinkable. And if you'd like to get going down that path, just set up that 15-minute introductory phone call. Talk to us about what you might need or what your concerns might be, what might be missing from your retirement plan. So reach out to us right now, 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAGREPORT. Or go on over to our website, retirehour.com. There you can watch past episodes, submit a question, or schedule that 15-minute phone call, all on that website with the Market Advisory Group team. Well, stay tuned. When we come back, we'll delve into my favorite wheelhouse, taxes, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Retire Hour. To round out the show, we like to liven it up and talk about everyone's favorite subject, taxes. Hey, now wait a second. Why are they laughing at me? I've got Lauren Dietz in studio with me. Lauren, I hear this tax season thing's coming up. What do you think about that?
I'm so looking forward to it. It's my favorite time of the year. It's just like Christmas that goes on for 3 months.
10 weeks of Christmas. That sounds like a great plan. So, we're talking to people today, and we're getting ready to move into tax season. Why don't you share with everybody listening in what you would say are the 5 best practices to get ready for tax season and keep your tax preparer happy?
Okay, I'd love to. So one of the first thing, which to me is one of the biggest things, is just communicating with your preparer. Tell them any changes that have happened.
Let me stop you right there. Were you listening into the last segment with Alex about estate planning?
Yeah.
That is literally what we talked about, how important communication is.
Yeah.
He was talking about communication with the kids and the beneficiaries. You're saying it's just as important to talk about to your tax preparer about your taxes?
Absolutely. I mean, as good as we are not mind readers.
Ugh, if only.
And there's so many times where, we'll be going through the motions with the taxpayer, and then we get to the very end and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, I moved and I switched jobs. those are things that you do want to discuss with your tax preparer. So just updating them on, big life events. If you got married, if you got divorced, if you had a kid, I'd hope that you'd tell me.
I sure would hope so. But there's also little things they can tell us about that maybe it doesn't mean anything to you having gone through that, but it can cause us to realize you qualify for something new, whether it be a tax credit, a deduction, who knows.
Right.
But if people don't tell us, we can't help them.
Exactly. The second thing that I always tell people is just be prepared. A lot of people, they want to get their taxes done like January 31st. It's like, wait a little bit longer. Wait till you've got all your forms. Even if you think you've got all the forms, give it like another week or two and schedule that appointment for like mid-February, because sometimes snail mail is slow.
Snail mail sure can be slow, and sometimes things come out of the woodwork that you aren't expecting. I mean, how many times have we talked to somebody and they got a 1099 for some interest they weren't anticipating?
Right.
Maybe they didn't realize that credit card that got written off generated a 1099-C for cancellation of debt income that is taxable, and nobody likes having to amend a return to fix stuff, right?
That is true. My next thing is just be organized. We've got a lot of clients that are really, really good about organizing their documents, but we like to send out organizers to our clients to help them prepare for tax season. And those are just a nice little thing to fill out ahead of your appointment to make things easier and smoother.
So people may not know. What is an organizer?
An organizer is basically just a form that goes through basically a tax return with you of what all different forms you could have received. You can write little notes off to the side on there, and we like to customize our organizers to show, here's what you had last year, to help you kind of compare against what you're receiving this year.
Sometimes people will say to us, well, if I'm filling all this out, aren't I basically doing the return anyway? What do I need you for?
No, it's not that simple.
No, it sure isn't. The people get these tax forms in the mail and they've got all kinds of numbers on them and codes and things like that.
Right.
Just writing down what your income was isn't the same as actually going through all that and applying the tax law.
Exactly. My next thing is don't procrastinate. People forget the deadline's coming up on April 15th and time gets away from us.
Say that again a little louder for the people with the screaming grandkids in the back of the car.
The deadline is April 15th.
All right.
Which means don't wait until April 14th to do your taxes.
That will not leave the tax preparer very happy, will it?
No, it sure won't.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, at that point, you're going to get an extension.
You're going to get an extension. I mean, we'll have people call in like that last week and be like, hey, can I get my taxes done? That ship sailed probably about a week before that, because it's just, we're trying to work through as many people as we can too and extend as few people as we can.
And it bears to be said, since we're talking about extensions are extending the time to file.
Not the time to pay.
Not the time to pay.
Right. And I think a lot of people get confused by that.
That is a very common misconception.
Yeah. And then my fifth best practice, which is my personal favorite, bring your tax preparer a little gift.
a little shameless plug right there. You know what? And maybe that gift is just a well filled out organizer.
I like that gift. I also like cookies. Chocolate chip to be specific, but no pressure.
Nope. No pressure. Those are some great pointers there. Communicate. Be prepared. Have all your tax forms. Don't bring in a big bundle or stack of receipts. Have things like summarized and organized.
I don't think people understand how long it takes to go through that stuff, especially when we're not familiar with what you've been spending your money on throughout the year. It can eat up a lot of time.
It sure can, and more time means it's more expensive for the person having their taxes done.
And I don't want to have to charge you more than I need to.
And then we have to try to guess and figure out what you have going on instead of you, the person going through all of it, telling us what exactly happened.
Right.
What does this receipt represent? What does this
Exactly.
check stub mean? not just that you got income in, but maybe it's some kind of income that's not even taxable. But if you don't tell us what it is, we can't know that.
Exactly.
Most of the time, people deal with taxes. They're addressing what happened last year. And at that point, there's very little you can do to change how the taxes affect you. But if you plan ahead, if you address those taxes before the year ends and make choices that can put you in a better place when it comes to dealing with your tax burden. If that sounds like something you can benefit from, you can set up a 15-minute introductory phone call with the team at Market Advisory Group to see how we can help you make that a reality. To do that, just reach out to us right now at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAG-REPORT. Or go over to our website, retirehour.com. There you can watch past episodes, submit a question, or schedule that 15-minute phone call with the Market Advisory Group team. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. I'm Joshua Cicora. Thank you for tuning in to Retire Hour, and we'll see you here next week.
Unless otherwise indicated, all client names have been changed to protect their identities. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns are not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. Legal services are offered by Edelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. The guest commentators featured in this show are not investment advisor representatives of Foundations and do not provide advisory services. Market Advisory Group does have several investment advisor representatives that can provide such services. This is not endorsed or affiliated with any U.S. government agency, the Social Security Administration, or associated with any federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-Medicare to get information on all of your options. A Roth conversion may not be suitable for your situation. The primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. The information provided is to help you determine whether or not a Roth IRA conversion may be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Please review your retirement savings, tax, and legacy planning strategies with your legal/tax advisor to be sure a Roth IRA conversion fits into your planning strategies. All rights reserved.